Joining our conversation, former Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill and former RNC Chairman Michael Steele. So this is one of those blood-boiling stories. So I'm gonna hand it off to you guys, but I want to just say one thing. How far the leadership of that department has fallen from the statesman that led it at the beginning of the Trump administration, Jim Mattis. Claire?
Yeah, I spent 12 years on the Armed Services Committee in the United States Senate. It was an oasis of bipartisanship. The leadership of the military was professional and nonpartisan. It was about the mission. It was never about the politics of the president. And watching what has happened, whether it is the pardoning of someone who had engaged in conduct that Navy SEALs came forward against a fellow Navy SEAL, unheard of, and then Trump puts him out on the campaign trail. The idea this guy would travel 8,000 miles to tell these sailors that the commander who went to the mat for them was stupid, and then worked in a slam on both the media and Joe Biden in the same speech. And he wanted to say that he got rid of the commander because of his judgment. Woefully terrible judgment. And I am so glad that he has gone quickly. But don't mistake this. There is turmoil at the Department of the Navy right now. There is a real schism between the civilian leadership and the military leadership in the military, and is mostly because of the temper tantrums and the compulsiveness and the inappropriate behavior of the commander-in-chief.
Michael Steele, is it time for Jim Mattis to speak up and speak out? We know he saw things he didn't write about in his book. We know he feels things. There's tape that surfaced during his leadership of the Pentagon of him talking to men and women of the military, saying we're going through a tough time in our country. He is not uninterested in protecting the morale of the men and women who serve this country. Is it time for him to say something?
It is, but he won't. So I wouldn't spend too much time hoping and waiting for that to happen, because there's been enough time since Secretary Mattis was in the job and the present moment for him to speak on those points. There have been enough events. There's been enough Trumpism that's been out there for the Secretary to address his own perspectives and inside knowledge of what's really going on, in departments like the Pentagon and certainly in the military departments like the Navy and Air Force, et cetera. So I think the expectation for us now is to sort of take this episode in the ongoing, reality TV drama of the White House and categorize it appropriately and just get ready to play it all back for November, because that's ultimately, Nicole, where we wind up here. The American people have to make their own assessment of these matters. So it doesn't almost matter anymore what these other players are saying who haven't said anything up to this point, now coming out and saying, well, just only affirm or not confirm what people feel. So that leaves it still on us to decide whether or not the individual in the White House is fit to be there for another term, is fit to be there to manage the crises that lie ahead. We're in this one now, so we just got to deal with this. Alarm bells going off, states don't have tests, and people are, states are bargaining with each other to get, masks and stuff. Okay, we're here now for that. But that, again, is all part of a narrative for what will come in the next few months for the voters and the American people to decide exactly what their final judgment will be.
Claire, Michael Steele has elegantly turned us toward the future, which is one of his gifts in politics in the election. We have a primary in Wisconsin today. I mean, what do you make? I think most of our anxiety as a country lies around the health and safety of our loved ones, whether or not our children are learning at home with us. I'll raise my hand there, what the toll is on this country. But I think there's another bucket of anxieties around what comes of our presidential election, what comes of this Democratic primary process, which has been disrupted, and what happens? I mean, what are your concerns in that bucket, Claire?
Well, I'm an optimistic person by nature, and I always like to see if I can't find the good in something. But the last 24 hours have been tough. from this acting Secretary of the Navy doing what he did to sailors in uniform on a carrier ship, to what happened with the fact that we have more deaths today in New York than we've had any other day, and we've now lost over 12,000 loved ones in this country, to the fact that this president has now started a war against the inspectors general, very near and dear to my heart, something I worked on very hard for all of my time as a United States Senator. But maybe the most heartbreaking, Nicole, are the lines of people waiting to vote in Wisconsin. And when you think about the underlying partisanship that is occurring there, these Republican legislators could have done the right thing and said, of course, people can send their mail ballots in. But oh, no, they had to fight it. And they had to take it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, had to uphold the fact that this conservative judge in Wisconsin said, no, you cannot mail your ballots in unless they're postmarked by today. And they have to have an excuse and a notary and all this stuff. So really, this maybe is the worst, because what those lines show people, and I hope it makes the people of Wisconsin very angry, because they have the right to be damn mad about what they're having to go through today. And it is partisan BS that is causing them to have to go through this today. And I hope they use that as fuel in November to turn these people out of office and get back to parties who want everyone to vote safely, as many people as possible, without fraud. We can do that in this country. And it is incredibly discouraging that you are seeing this today in Wisconsin. I predict they will have a record turnout, because I got a feeling there's people that will crawl through glass this year to vote, to change the environment and the culture that they're seeing emanating from the Oval Office.
Michael Steele, I'm going to give you the last word.
No, I think Sister Claire there just kind of laid it down. This is embarrassing. No, she did, and I agree. Everyone should have full, unfettered access to the ballot box now, during the rest of this primary season, and certainly in November. And no legislature, no governor, no court should stand in the way of that. And the fact that some want to be partisan and some want to play politics to protect the outcome or try to design an outcome for a particular race or a particular opportunity belies the full spirit of what this country was built on. So those folks standing in line in Wisconsin are a testament to that spirit, in my view, a testament also to what Claire just said, that the American people, I think, are gearing up to crawl through cut glass, broken glass, whatever it's going to take to get to the ballot box. And that scares the hell out of some people. And maybe it should. But we have to be ready for that, too, and be prepared on the other side to make sure that every state allows vote by mail this November. I don't, at this point, don't care exactly where we are with coronavirus. It should be a part of the electoral plan for every state this November.
Michael Steele, Claire McCaskill, you two turned into chicken soup for my weary soul. Thank you both for showing up and spending some time with us. I'm grateful. When we go